Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Wage and Iverson. I'm going to be showing you guys the top 5 comps of the patch. To be honest, it is quite a flexible patch, but I tried to cover like a nice variety of comps from like AD, AP, even reroll. So yeah, let's just get right into it. And the first comp that we have right here is going to be Slayers. This is not. You have a few options with Slayers. First option is to play this kind of like Bilgewater package with Alawi, Nautilus, Gangplank. You're going to buy like all of the Gangplanks in the Bilgewater shops and the small duplicators. And you are going to drop Alawi for Tom Kench eventually when you find it. In terms of spots to play this comp, you can play it from a win streak with stuff like Kiana 2, Briar 2 with like Bruiser fighter items. Or you can also play it from a loss streak with like strong scaling augments like Darkened Bow or the Infinity Force augment, the replay augment. So yeah, this is like a really strong top 4 comp. I don't think it wins super often, but I would definitely recommend playing this comp. And yeah, if you guys are not really in a spot to go for Gangplank 3, you can drop like this kind of Bilgewater package, and you can play like Briar and maybe like Aatrox. And this is kind of like the old Slayer board. Also, in terms of like playing Kog'Maw, if you have like an offensive Void mod for your Bel'Veth, then you're probably going to want to play this. But if you don't have an offensive Void mod, if you have like one of the defensive ones, then you can totally just not play Void on your board. Or if you do have access to Rift Herald because you played Void in the early game, then you can totally fit like a Rift Herald plus like another Bruiser in here. So it is like quite a flexible board. The core is really just going to be these like Ambessa, Swain, Gangplank, Bel'Veth. If you have Gangplank 3-star, itemize him. If he's 2-starred, maybe just give him like a TG or some like utility items and focus more on like Ambessa carry. And yeah, you're just gonna build a board around these units with like 3 Noxus, add some like Vanquishers or Slayers and some frontliners as well. So that's gonna be a really strong comp on this patch. The next comp that we're gonna talk about is Vertical Demacia, and I'll talk about like all of the variants of this comp. So this is kind of just like the most standard, and that's gonna be like a Lux primary carry with some sort of like blue JG build. And you're going to want to position like this so that the enemy team kind of wraps around the Garen on this side, and your Lux is going to get like a really nice like lineup with the laser. But there is some other ways to play this comp. So one really nice way to play this comp is like Sona reroll with like Archangels, Gunblade plus like a mana item, or you could do like JG Nasher as well. Works pretty well on Sona. So that's going to be like Sona 3-star, but you're going to kind of scale into like a very similar board with like 7 Demacia and an Invoker. And the last way to play this comp is to play around like the long shots. So usually that involves dropping like Lux, Sona, and not playing Invoker. And you're going to be putting like Kog'Maw and Kai'Sa on your board. And yeah, so you can initially start with like 80 items on Vayne and AP items on Kai'Sa. And then when you go level 9 for Ziggs, you can move the AP items over to Ziggs, and you can move the AD items over to Kai'Sa. So there's quite a few different ways to play Demacia. Really, the most important thing is just 2-starring like this Garen, 2-starring your front line, and just having like a decent enough backline, no matter who the backliner is. Because Garen with 5 Demacia is like really tanky. And yeah, also make sure you unlock Galio. So I think Econ is pretty nice in Demacia because it makes sure that you can hit like your Garen 2-star on like 4-2 or in stage 4. And it also makes sure that you can like hit all of the upgrades to unlock Galio. So those are really the main things to think about in this comp. And Garen itemization actually does matter a lot. Like items like Bramble, Spirit Visage, Steadfast are like really good on him because he gets like a lot of resists from Demacia, and he has like built-in like healing. And items like Warmogs is or just like maybe like Stoneplate and that kind of, or like Adaptive is going to be like a lot worse. So yeah, if you're a little confused, maybe you can like take a look at some Garen stats, because the most of the time tank items doesn't really matter what you put on the tank, but I would say in this comp it actually matters like quite a lot. So the next comp that we can talk about is going to be Ekko reroll. I think this is like probably the most consistent reroll comp of the patch, because Yasuo reroll needs to be played with like specific Ionias. But this comp, you can kind of play it whenever. It's like very consistent. It performs really well with artifacts if you can get some sort of like Wit's End, Infinity Force. What else is good? Middens is really good on Ekko. And Ekko builds are also pretty flexible. You can go for this sort of like BT Titans Rageblade, or you can go more of like a crit like JG Hodge type of build. And yeah, There's also a little bit of flexibility in this board, but probably the most standard is to 3-star Nico as your tank, while also rerolling for Ekko. And then you get to level up for Nidalee later on, and you're going to play this kind of board. Just make sure you build like some sort of heal cut, like Sunfire or Morello. Singed is a pretty nice holder because he like runs around, and also some sort of like Shred, so Spark on your Nico, or like Void Staff on like Singed or Seraphine or something. And the duo carry is going to be Nidalee later on. Nidalee can do like a lot of work at 2-star. So yeah, you're going to want to push level 8, roll for like these 2-star 4 costs after you 3-star Ekko and Nico. And you can 2-star Nidalee and give her like some extra AP items. Yeah, so Ekko reroll is like a really nice comp on this patch. If you have like the Zon augment, like the Silco's Revenge, you can play into more of like a 5 Zon board. So that could yeah, look a bit different. Probably like Blitzcrank and either like Warwick or Ziggs, or maybe like Mundo plus a Bruiser in like the early game. But yeah, default would probably be this kind of board. And yeah, some reroll augments are also really nice for this comp. Like I've seen people play with like Honor Roll or just like any sort of like Trade Sector or whatever to hit your board, and also be able to make it to level 8 and hit the like 2-star 4 costs, which is when this board is going to be really strong. Next up, we're going to have like the Ryze Ziggs comp. This is kind of like a fast 9 AP comp. So econ augments are going to be like extremely important in this comp. We're going to need like yeah, stuff like explosive growth or like the 2-1 like level up type of prismatics is going to be really good. You can play it from a Yordle opener, but it doesn't have to be a Yordle opener. As long as you unlock Kennen at some point, you can always make it to this board. And yeah, usually the most standard way to play this is you're going to level up on the 4-7 neutrals, put in a board that unlocks both Ryze and Ziggs. So you're going to need like, oh, sorry, Taric should be here. So you need 1 Targon, 3 Ionia, 2 Yordle, and then you can either do 3 Zon, or you can just play any random like 2 Piltover, 2 Void, whatever. There's like a lot of different boards that can do it. And you need to make sure that you put 3 items on a Yordle to unlock Ziggs. And as soon as you get to, like, you're going to stop rolling, and then once you unlock Ryze and Ziggs, then you're going to roll the majority of your gold to try to 2-star Ryze and Ziggs. And yeah, this is quite a high cap comp, but it can be pretty hard to reach the board sometimes. So yeah, just making sure that you're like ideally playing it from ahead, and also taking a lot of econ augments so that you can actually make it to this Ryze Ziggs board. And Set is also kind of a beast in this comp, so you can definitely, if you have leftover like AP items, give them to Set, or like if you 2-star him, then definitely try to move some items onto Set. And the main tank can either be Wukong or Taric, and the tank items that you build really don't matter too much in this comp as long as you just make sure that you have some sort of like Shred and Burn. So yeah, I think this comp is really good. It's not like, I think everyone thought this is going to be like, oh, the most OP, like only playable comp of the patch. It's definitely not. But if you can make it to the board with some upgrades, you have like a really, really good chance of winning. And lastly, my number 1 comp of the patch. I don't think you guys are going to be too surprised at this. It's going to be like a Bilgewater Vertical or like Bilgewater Flex. This is like an extremely flexible board, but you're going to do the same thing every game, which is you're going to play 7 Bilgewater on stage 4. You're going to roll down for like 2-star like MF and Fizz and any sort of frontline. Doesn't necessarily have to be Swain. It could be any sort of like Braum, Taric. Just needs to be some sort of like 2-star 4-cost frontline. You can roll quite aggressively on 8. This Fizz guy is actually like really, really broken, so make sure you invest into Fizz. I don't even think the items that he gets matters too much. You could either go some sort of like crit build or attack speed build or black market explosives or whatever. Same thing with MF items. I don't really think the items matters too much in this comp. One thing that you are really going to want to do is you're going to want to buy the Captain's Brew for TF. If I can find that really quickly. So yeah, you're pretty much always going to buy the Captain's Brew, which you have to have 5 Bilgewater in to buy the Captain's Brew. And you're usually going to buy 1 7 Bilgewater item. So you, like Citrus or Barnacles is really nice for Tahm Kench, or you can buy like a Damage Misfortune item. I would say just like, just depends what you need in your spot. So if you have a lot of damage items, you can buy a tank item. If you have a lot of tank items, you can buy a damage item. That's usually how I like to go about it. In terms of augments, you can click kind of like balanced augments, because you can use gold really well to go level 9 and hit a bunch of 2-star 5 costs. You can use items really well because we have like so many carries and tanks to itemize. We can itemize MF, Fizz, Tahm Kench, Swain, Volibear, Lucian and Senna, Kindred. We can literally itemize like everyone on this board and feel good about it. And yeah, combat augments are also going to perform really well because if you think about what your trait does, it kind of farms you like golden items. So you can make like a really strong like level 8 board with some combat augments as well. So yeah, this is like a really flexible comp. You don't like I would say like as long as you're just rolling on 8, playing around the MF Fizz, Tom Kench, Captain's Brew, you can really scale into anything. It like doesn't need to be like Volibear. Usually you try to drop into like 5 Bilgewater late game, so that's why I have this board. You would drop like Graves for Lucian and Senna. You don't even need to play these quick strikers. Sometimes you can drop those, put like Captain's Brew on like Fizz or MF. So it is like a really flexible board. But yeah, even if you just like kind of like try to scale into this board that I was showing and just stay on 7 Bilgewater until you're like 1 or 2 lives or something, and then try to go into this board, that's like a really good game plan. And yeah, after you buy that kind of like Captain's Brew and the one 7 Bilgewater item, like either a damage item or a thing, then you can start buying like a lot of stats, and just make sure you try to buy like stats from each bucket. So buy like the 1 copy of each of the 7 Bilgewater stats, like 1 HP, 1 AD, 1 attack speed, and then buy like maybe 1 or 2 from the 5 Bilgewater stats, and then you can buy a bunch of the 3 Bilgewater stats. So you're just gonna do that by like toggling, and yeah, it just follows like however many Bilgewater units you have on your board. So 7 Bilgewater on your board, you're gonna get a 7 Bilgewater shop. 5 Bilgewater on your board, you're gonna get 5 Bilgewater shop. 3 Bilgewater on your board, you're gonna get 3 Bilgewater shop. So it is like a pretty difficult comp to play, but as long as you have like a TF early on and unlock Graves, it's probably the strongest comp of the patch and like the most unconditional comp of the patch. I mean, only condition is getting like an early TF. So that's going to be it for my top 5 comps of the patch. To be honest, it is like a very flexible patch. There's like a lot of stuff I didn't talk about, but I do think that if you play these 5 comps, you're going to have like a lot of success. And I feel like these are the 5 comps that I probably was looking to play. I recently won the Shrima comp, and I played a lot of Bilgewater and a lot of Slayers. And yeah, I was also looking to play these kind of like Riggs, Demacia, Ekko, although I didn't get like maybe as many spots for it. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and appreciate the support as always. Thank you.